Good morning, everyone. Now I will present the SPSS data analysis for our research. The analysis consists of 5 main sections: descriptive analysis, reliability test using crawlback alpha, exploratory factor analysis or EFA, multiple regression analysis, and the conclusion. Each step plays an important role in ensuring that our research results are accurate and reliable. So let's begin with the descriptive analysis. First, let's look at the descriptive analysis. The purpose of descriptive analysis is to summarize the characteristics of the collected data before moving on to more advanced statistical tests. It allows us to understand respondents' overall opinions and determine whether there are any unusual patterns in the data. In the study, we collected 132 valid questionnaires, meaning every response could be used in the analysis without being removed because of missing data. This sample size is considered sufficient for both factor analysis and regression analysis. Next, SPSS calculates for important statistics for each variable: the minimum value, the maximum value, the mean, and the standard deviation. The mean represents the average response of participants. Since our questionnaire used a 5-point Likert scale, a higher mean indicates a higher level of agreement. The results show that almost every variable has a mean between 4.2 to 4.5. For example, product quality items have average scores ranging from 4.33 to 4.5. Service experience items range from 4.36 to 4.51. Customer satisfaction has average scores around 4.35 to 4.4, and repurchase intention also has high average ranging from almost 4.3 to 4.38. The results suggest that respondents generally agreed and strongly agreed with the statement in our questionnaire. Beside the mean, we also consider the standard deviation, which means how spread out the responses are. Most standard deviations are below 1, indicating that respondents answer quite consistently. In other words, there is relatively little disagreement among the participants. Overall, the descriptive statistics show that the respondents have positive perceptions of all major research constructs, and the data appear stable enough for the following analysis. After understanding the overall characteristics of the data, the next step is to evaluate the reliability of each measurement scale. For this purpose, we use crawlback alpha. Crawlback alpha measures the internal consistency of items within the same construct. Simply put, it tells us whether the questions designed to measure the same concept actually produce consistent responses. Generally speaking, a value above 0.7 is considered acceptable, above 0.8 is considered good, and above 0.9 indicates excellent reliability. Looking at the results, almost every construct performs extremely well. For example, product quality has a crawlback alpha of 0.937, product features has 0.926, service experience reach 0.956, service performance records 0.933, customer satisfaction achieved 0.959, and finally repurchase intention has the highest alpha value of 0.963. These values indicate excellent internal consistency. This means that the items within constructs work well together and successfully measure the same underlying concepts. Another indicator is the corrected item total correlation. Most items have values well above 0.3, showing that the showing that each question contributes positively to its corresponding constructs. There is no need to remove any of these items because deleting them would not significantly improve reliability. However, there's one exception. The construct BC has a negative comeback alpha of negative 0.208. The negative alpha is very unusual. According to SPSS, this happened because the average covariance among the items is negative. This often indicates that some items were reverse coded incorrectly and that the questions do not measure the same concepts. Therefore, this construct cannot be considered reliable and should either be revised or excluded from later analysis. Overall, except for BC, all remaining constructs demonstrate excellent reliability and are appropriate for further statistical testing. After confirming the reliability of the scales, we proceed to explanatory factor analysis, commonly known as EFA. The main purpose of EFA is to examine whether the observed variables actually group together into the theoretical constructs proposed in the research model. In other words, EFA helps verify the validity of our measurement scales. The first result we examine is the KMO value. Our KMO value is 0.946. Since this value is much higher than the recommended minimum of 0.5, it indicates that our sample is more than adequate for factor analysis. Next is the Bartlett test of sphericity. The significance value is 0.000, which is lower than 0.05. This tells us that the variables are sufficiently correlated with another and factor analysis is appropriate. Next, we examine the total variance explained. The analysis extracts two factors which together explain approximately 75.98% of the total variance. In social science research, explaining more than 50% of the variance is generally considered satisfactory. Therefore, explaining nearly 76% indicates a very strong measurement model. We also examine the rotated components matrix. Most variables have factor loadings above 0.7. High factor loadings indicate that each observed variable strongly represents its intended factor. In addition, there are no serious cross-loading issues. This means item clearly belongs to one factor rather than overlapping with multiple factors. Therefore, we can conclude that the constructs demonstrates good convergent validity and discriminant validity. Overall, the EFA results confirm that the measurement model is statistically valid and suitable for regression analysis. Now, let's move to the statistical analysis which is multiple regression. The objective of regression analysis is to determine whether the independent variables significantly influence the dependent variable and to measure the strength of these relationships. In our research, the dependent variable is service performance, while the independent variables are product quality, service experience, and customer satisfaction. The first result we examine is the model summary. The model produced an R-square value of 0.892. This means that approximately 89.2% of the variation in service performance can be explained by product quality, service experience, and customer satisfaction. This is a very high percentage, indicating that the model has excellent explanatory power. The adjusted R-square is 0.889, which is almost identical to the R-square. The small difference suggests that the model is stable and that adding these variables does not create unnecessary complexity. Next, we consider the ANOVA test. The regression model is statistically significant, indicating that the three independent variables collectively have a significant value influence on service performance. This means our regression model fits the data well. Overall, the regression analysis confirms that the product quality, service experience, and customer satisfaction are strong predictors of service performance. These findings provide statistical support for our proposed research model. To conclude, let me summarize the main findings. First, the descriptive analysis shows that the respondents generally have positive perceptions toward all major research variables. This with average scores above 4 out of 5. Second, the reliability analysis demonstrates that almost all constructs have excellent internal consistency with callback alpha values above 0.9. The only the BC construct shows poor reliability because of its negative alpha value and should therefore be revised or excluded. Third, the exploratory factor analysis confirms that our measurement scales are valid. The KMO value is very high, the Bartlett test is significant, and the extracted factor explained nearly 76% of total variance, demonstrating a strong factor structure. Finally, the regression analysis shows that the product quality, service experience, and customer satisfaction explain almost 90% of the variation in service performance, indicating that these variables have a strong influence on the dependent variable. Overall, the SPSS results demonstrate that our research model is statistically reliable, valid, and provides strong evidence to support the proposed relationships among the variables. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention.